Good morning.
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 Good morning.
To ask questions in your small group. So if that feels weird to you and you don't want to ask questions, that's cool because you're going to have plenty of time later.
Hey, Patrick, I'm going to give you share responsibilities just in case.
I think I have it. I think this is
Oh, do you
mine.
have it? Okay, do you have it? Okay.
Yeah, I gave it to you actually for being.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Because it's such a crazy morning, but I have a feeling something's going to happen and my phone is like nonstop. So we won't bore this group with all the details, but I think all of our faculty here today have had one crisis or another that we're running from or to. So a lot of activity, a lot of action going on today, a lot of moving parts, I guess. So, okay, I think everybody, let's see, I'm looking at the numbers here. I think we're almost there, a few people. Okay. Patrick, would you like to pull up the slides, Dr. Aragon, excuse me?
Sure. Sorry, I've got a lot of things open right now. There it is. So,
Not yet?
no, not working.
No?
I'm gonna download it so I have it. I think it was not working from that window.
I can try from here if you
I got
prefer.
it. Sorry.
Okay.
Cool. All right, share screen. Boom.
There you go.
Cool.
Got it?
Yeah.
Can everybody see it?
I'll make it bigger and now
Okay. You'll have to move the slides forward then.
I can do it.
Okay, you can do that. All right. Well, okay. Welcome, everybody. My name is Dr. Vita Tyke, and I am the chair of the PsyD Clinical Program and Director of Clinical Training. And we want to welcome you all to sunny Florida, even if it is virtual. I hope you guys had the opportunity last night to attend the social and meet some of our amazing students. We're happy to be here today to talk to you about our program and hoping to get you to know you a little bit better through our interview day here. I think all of our faculty are beaming today because we just got news that we had 100% match rate on our phase 1 applicants for internship today. So we are so very, very proud of our students. It's a big day here. So, you know, we're really excited. Students worked hard. We'd all think I'd like to take some credit for playing a role in that, right, guys? So we're pretty excited. So we're kind of all on a high today. So with that said, can you move next slide, please? Okay, so today's agenda, I am going to give an overview of the program, and then you're going to get a chance to meet all of our clinical faculty. And then we have small group meetings with the faculty throughout the day. You should all have received a schedule, and it shows you the links for the meeting rooms and the times when you meet. Then we're going to ask at your scheduled time that you take a sample writing task that lasts about 30 minutes. Just click on the link. So it is a time task. We'll have a wrap up at the end of the day where you can ask a few questions and then some time to visit virtually with some of the individual faculty. And then after that will be a student panel where you'll get to chat with some students and hear about the program from their perspective. And you can ask them some questions. Okay, next slide, Patrick. Okay, so there's a reason that I'm showing this picture of Vail, Colorado. And that's because our program, which leads to the Doctor of Psychology degree, the PsyD degree, is based on a practitioner scholar model, and it is committed to the Vail model of clinical training. Next slide, please. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the mission of our program. And overall, our goal at Florida Tech is to prepare qualified clinical psychology grad students for entry-level positions in health service psychology. We, as I said, do embrace a practitioner scholar model that integrates science and practice. So the clinical practice is based on the science of psychology, which is in turn informed by clinical practice. And just an interesting tidbit of information, our Florida Tech was the first university in the Southeast to offer the PsyD degree and the model of training that it represents. And our program focuses on developing a foundational, broad, and very general knowledge of discipline-specific content areas and developing specific clinical competencies in the areas of relational and clinical skills, assessment, evidence-based intervention, research and evaluation, consultation, administration, and supervision. The program also integrates diversity into all aspects of its coursework and its training. And so our goal is to prepare students to become culturally competent psychologists who will value individual and cultural differences and practice in socially responsive ways in a diverse society. So to that end, we also focus on professional development issues to ensure that your work is guided by the highest of ethical and professional standards. So we hope to prepare students for a wide variety of roles and careers in the field of psychology, prepare you to practice in settings like mental health clinics, hospitals, medical centers, independent practices, forensic settings, academia, you name it. And I think that's evident in where our students were placed today, because they're really placed in a variety of different settings across the country. We had one student placed as far as Honolulu. I know where I'm going this summer, right? Vacation. Okay. Next slide, please. So obviously your education and training is a significant commitment, and it's probably one of the biggest investments that you're going to make. So you really need to feel confident and excited about the program that you choose. Our program, as you know, is APA accredited. It has been since 1983, fully accredited since 1986. And what that means is that the program has clearly defined training aims and objectives that meet professional scientific standards. So it's kind of a quality control guide for students, and it gives you the assurance that you're going to receive a very high quality education. So the program offers an organized and a sequential curriculum. We have very qualified faculty who you'll meet today. We offer a great deal of supervision, and the program is up to date in our practices and psychology education and professional standards. And in most states, graduating from an APA accredited school is required for licensure. And it's going to create more opportunities for you later on in terms of your employment, membership in professional organizations. And we're proud to say, when we look back at, the last 5 years of our data, all of our students have been accepted into APA or APIC accredited internships. If we look at the past 10 years, from 2013 to 2023, 94% of our graduates have become licensed psychologists, so we will prepare you for licensure. So we're really proud of those numbers, and I think that they speak for themselves. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. So I'd like to highlight a few features of the program that I think make it this strong program that it is. Starting with our outstanding core clinical faculty. We're licensed psychologists. We have extensive clinical backgrounds. Many of us have worked in different settings, some medical centers, VAs, prisons, other forensic settings, hospitals. Some are board certified. Many have achieved national, international prominence in their areas of expertise. But I think most importantly, our faculty are strongly committed to the mission of the program. We're strongly invested in our students, and you're going to have the opportunity to work one-on-one with faculty on various research projects and other activities. I also want to point out that we typically accept a cohort of about 20 students per year, and that results in about an 8-to-1 student-faculty ratio. So you get a lot of individualized mentoring and training, from our faculty. We also offer a very exciting but a rigorous curriculum. We have a phenomenal assessment series that covers intellectual personality assessment, a great clinical skills series. We offer personality and psychotherapy, psychopathology, biological foundations, psychodiagnostics, multicultural classes, statistics, and research methods. And we have an ethics series, to name a few. But we're really looking for the serious student who's able to complete a rigorous curriculum and then meet our program metrics. We want you guys to be successful, and we're all really invested in your success. We do prioritize research. Our students are required to complete a doctoral research project. You may have heard students talking about the DRP. We use a lot of little acronyms in this program, but you can, in addition to the DRP, you can also participate in ongoing research activities. A number of our faculty have research teams. Many of our students are involved in IRB approved research projects. They present their work at national and regional conferences. Many have published work in peer-reviewed journals. So not only are you learning to be good consumers of research, but you also have the opportunity to conduct and participate in research in your areas of interest. One of the other highlights of the program is that we do have an on-site or on-campus practicum training facility. It's our on-campus community mental health clinic. The clinic, this is where you will be completing your initial practicum, and you might have heard the term CPS, Community Psychological Services, which is located at our Scott Center for Autism Treatment. And clients come from the community with a variety of mental and behavioral health problems. But the beauty of this setup is that you complete 2 semesters of supervised practicum experience at CPS, supervised by our full-time clinical faculty, and that's before you move to your external practicum site. So you get a lot of individual supervision activity here before you go out and serve at agencies, and that begins in your 2nd year. We also have a large network of community-based practicum sites, so diverse settings and service agencies where our students practice their inpatient, outpatient placements at mental health clinics, VAs, hospitals, again, forensic settings, university counseling centers. But this really allows the student to expand their experience with different populations of interest to them. Lastly, in addition to a lot of the foundation and core clinical work, we also offer training in elective exposure areas. And you will hear from some of the faculty who have interest in those areas today. They are in the child and family arena, forensics, integrated behavioral health, and neuropsychology. And of all of this stuff, the faculty and the curriculum don't grab you. then the warm climate and beaches hopefully will. So it's how warm here today, guys, about 74, 75?
Yep.
Yeah, so nice and warm here today. So lots of sunny weather as well. Okay, thank you. I did want to mention a few of the funding opportunities for students that we have here. We get this question every year, and it's important as you plan to finance your graduate education. So I just wanted to make a mention of this, and we can talk about this more later in the wrap-up session. But we do have opportunities, some positions that are known as graduate assistantships or GSAs. These are grad students who are paid to work. They're also employed, and they assist faculty with different responsibilities, grading exams, proctoring, helping with research, teaching courses. They're limited to full-time students for a max of, I think, 20 hours a week during the academic year for fall and spring semesters. Student has to be in good academic standing to be eligible for a GSA contract. And this year, we're proud to say that administration has approved that all of our faculty will be able to offer a GSA award to an incoming student. So we have those opportunities. And then there are other GSA positions, multiple positions, ranging between $1,000 to $4,000 roughly per semester, depending on the particular assistantship that you are awarded. We also have some paid practicum sites. So after you complete the supervised practicum experience on campus, then students have the opportunity to apply for external practicum sites. So some students, will be paid by hour, some are paid by contract, but nonetheless, those qualifications, for those positions will be made available at the time that you apply. We also have military scholarships. The U.S. Navy, Army, Air Force offer scholarship programs that cover up to 4 years of graduate school tuition, and then they provide monthly stipends for living expensive books. I think they have 1, 2, 3, and 4-year scholarships, I believe. And in return, then there's a service commitment of 1 year of active duty service for each year of participation in the program. So we have those opportunities, and of course, student loans. Many graduate students use federal student loans to finance their education. But we'll refer you to the financial aid office for more detailed information on those things. Okay, so probably time to move on to do we have Patrick? There you go. So now I'm going to introduce the faculty and ask them to say a few words about themselves and their research interests so that you can get to hear a little bit from all of us today. And I think first on the list is Dr. Aragon.
We do it by priority, I guess, huh? I'm joking. Good morning. Nice to be able to see all of you today. And as Dr. Teich mentioned, a lot of really nice things. I always like to make a comment. It's going to be a lot today. So, obviously take it in stride. You'll have plenty of time to ask questions. And I know for me, I definitely don't expect you guys to remember everything that you leave here with, but at least have some ideas of what you can gain from coming to our program. So I am a professor here in the program. I'm also assistant director of clinical training. What that means right now is I do a lot with making sure students have clinical experiences. I've been here 9 years now, which is kind of crazy to say. And along that way, a lot of my role has been finding practicum opportunities, making sure they're still efficient in what we need for our students. I help a lot with, now we have Scott, who's at CPS. We'll hear from him a little bit. But I help a lot with preparing students for CPS, their first practicum. I teach clinical skills 2. So after Scott teaches clinical skills 1, I follow his lead for sure. And then I also provide an internship class to help our students be successful in their application process, which is really important. Should definitely be a big consideration for you all as you're picking your program. The match rate and finding solid, internship programs is a really important piece of what we hope to do. I'm going to be teaching the substance abuse course this summer. A big interest of mine, both research and personally, is substance abuse and treatment. I also have a private practice where I see clients, and I probably see roughly 30–40% of my clients would be in that realm, depending on the time. My first love is still inpatient mental health and inpatient psychiatry. So I do still consult a little bit with a hospital in Orlando called Aspire. We have the main local hospital we have here is called Circles of Care, and it's been with us for a while. It's what brought me into the area too before I started with FIT. So that's definitely a good partnership that we maintained. We have roughly 30, we say practicum sites. If you have questions later, no problem, talking more about that. So that's something that's really cool that we maintain and manage. We recently just got a cool contract with Brevard County Schools, which is the local school system here that our students are seeing folks with, which is great. What else? So I guess research interest. So yeah, substance use is one of my focus areas. I've also been working with the engineering department a little bit, trying to figure out some AI and utilizing AI to help with scanning social media to try and be kind of like an early alert system for people who are at risk for harm or suicidality. It's in the early stages, but it's obviously really cool stuff that we're working on. So I could talk to you guys more. I don't want to take up too much time. Obviously, just enjoy today. Get all the information that you can that'll be useful. Looking forward to talking to you guys in individual groups in a little bit. And thank you for coming.
Oh, that's me. Yeah, so as you might guess from the photo, my passion and interest area is forensic psychology. Although I'm not half as well, maybe when I teach statistics, I might be that scary, but otherwise, generally not a scary person. So I'm Julie Kostopoulos. In the clinical program, I'm core faculty and I teach kind of a wide variety of things, ethics sometimes, statistics sometimes. And when my most favorite is, I would say, forensic assessment. So my interest area is really the intersection of serious mental illness and justice-involved individuals. And so I was previously at Florida State Hospital, and I was doing evaluations of competency and sanity for the courts, but also getting to do treatment. And now I am here on campus, and I lead a court assessment team where we do evaluations of competency and sanity for the court, and I don't do treatment. We have other practicum sites that are forensic where you can get treatment opportunities, but sort of that differential diagnosis and impact on the legal question is really my passion. I'm also the head of the School of Psychology. And just so you know that there are faculty involved in other programs available to you too. So we have industrial organizational psychology. We have undergraduate forensic psychology major. So there's three other faculty members in forensic on our campus. We have animal behavior and neuropsychology and so many other related faculty that you would get to work with. But that's my major passion is forensic assessment. Was that everything, Vita? Okay, great.
Good morning, everybody. I am Dr. Fertitta, Mary Caitlin Fertitta, and I'm happy to be here. Happy to see you all. I always blank out on these things, so you're gonna have to remind me all if I forget something. I don't know why. I forget who I am when it comes to introductions every time. So I am also a core faculty member here in the PsyD program. I think I'm working on my third year here as part of the core faculty, but I'm actually an alumna of FIT's PsyD program. So I did my PsyD and all the associated training here. And I loved it so much I came back to join the faculty. So if you have any questions, our faculty are very knowledgeable, very integrated with the students, like we're all very connected. And I think most of us know most of our students, but if you ever have a question that requires the unique perspective of a past student, I'm happy to answer those. So what am I interested in? I teach a lot of different things. I have taught a lot of different things. I do right now, I'm doing a lot of clinical supervision. So if you don't know what that is, when you're learning to practice psychology, you have to practice under somebody's license. So I am licensed by the state of Florida to practice psychology. And so I train with me and a few other supervisors that we have here at our on-campus clinic, doing clinical supervision. And I'm doing a lot of that right now. So it's really cool because I love being a part of that learning process where you're really learning the rigorous science that underscores everything that we do and learning how to implement it with clients in a skillful way, not just reading out of a manual, but also not just being a nice person for therapy, but really marrying the two. I think that's one of the very cool skills of the PsyD psychologist in particular. And that's a lot of what we focus on. So you'll likely be seeing a whole lot of me in your second year, assuming I'm still doing supervision at that time, which I think I will. I also do some other trainings with, like vertical clinical supervision. If you want to learn to be a supervisor, you can't supervise without a license, but we do peer consultation and peer supervision training, and look at the theories that underscore that, as well as a few other models here and there. I've worked all over at different places. If I had to narrow it down to a few of my interests, it's really for me a split between psychological testing and assessment, diagnostics, really using a tool to aid in the evaluation of another person, all kinds, neuro, personality, everything in between. So testing and assessment, diagnostics, but also I really love working with obsessive compulsive and anxiety disorders. And that's actually where I specialized in internship and fellowship, among a few other things. But yes, OC related disorders, appropriate identification of those, because they get missed so much in practice. And the average length of time someone goes, if they have OCD, they go an average of like 17 years before they're appropriately diagnosed and receive the right kind of treatment. And by that point, it's really bad. So I'm really passionate about accurate diagnosis and treatment of those disorders, and really just anxiety disorders in general. And then I like a little bit of everything else in between. I'm a true generalist. I was a generalist in the program. I've worked a lot of places, like I said, inpatient clinics, inpatient hospitals, outpatient clinics, VAs, integrated behavioral health care settings with physicians, substance use clinics. I spent a year in neuropsychological clinic doing only neuropsych evals. The other things I mentioned. So I've been around to a few different places, and I like to keep it interesting. So I think I hit everything, right? It's good to see y'all. I'm sure we'll talk more.
Hey guys, that is me. So my name is Dr. Scott Gustafson. I am, as Dr. Teich said, and I'm going to remind you a little of what Dr. Teich said, because I know it's 9:30 and we've already turned the informational fire hose on at you. So just to recap, one of the big things that Dr. Teich mentioned is that the program is designed to be increasing in complexity. So in your first year, it's almost all classroom work. You have to get the foundations before you go into practice. And then in the second year, you come to my clinic, and we have an in-house, not every program has this, an in-house treatment clinic. It's a community-based clinic where we don't just get fake clients. We get actual human beings from the community with a wide range of presenting problems. And the typical caseload for that practicum experience is about 5 to 6 folks. And what that means is that for your first supervised clinical experiences, we are trading quality for quantity. When you go out in the external practicum, you'll have much larger caseloads, but when we keep it to 5 or 6 in the clinic, you will work, we have a 2-hour meeting a week with your clinical supervisor, where the real task is to focus in on why you're doing what you're doing. And I think for all the clinical supervisors, that's one of the main points of focus that like Dr. Fertitta said, you understand the scientific basis for what you're doing and how to actually implement that in the room. And by the time you're done with the clinical skills series in your first year and the CPS practicum in your second year, your third and fourth years are just getting a lot of hours and a lot of experience applying all that knowledge, and you still have classes, advanced classes going on from there. So it's graduated and increasing in complexity as you go along. So that's CPS and that's me. My research interests are pretty much revolving around psychophysiology, the nature of consciousness, and EEG and neurotherapy. Secondarily, mental health administration and mental health financing, which is probably going to be a big interest to a lot of you, because by the time you're done dedicating a half a decade of your life, it's not a hobby, and you want to figure out how to actually get a return on that investment. So we incorporate that in a lot of my classes as well. And I think, Vita, I think that's it. Anything else that I should include? Or Patrick?
Just sorry for multitasking. I definitely paid attention the entire time. Anything flashing on the screen.
Did you mention what classes you teach?
Oh, classes I teach are Clinical Skills 1, which is going to be your first year, first semester. Right now, I am teaching consultation, which is going to be your last year, last semester. But we're next year, we're folding that in with Dr. Fertitta's mental health administration class. And this summer, I will be teaching research methods before you start working on your dissertation as a platform. Again, prepping you to do the actual work. And I'm a regular supervisor in the clinic as well as being its administrator. Thanks, Julie.
Who's next? There you go.
That's me. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Mariana Juras. I'm family psychologist, originally from Brazil. So majorly my experience, clinical and forensic experience with families has been in Brazil. And I moved to the United States almost 10 years ago. And I have, my passion also is for teaching, while also integrating clinical work. So I joined Florida Tech. I'm the newest faculty here. And before I tell a little bit about myself, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate the program activities and all the curriculum that has been established. So every semester, every year, there is a meaning, there is a sense in why each course has been established in where they are. For example, I teach ethics serious classes, and you're going to see ethics 1 in your first semester, and then ethics 2 in your the end of the second year, and then ethics 3 at the end of fourth year. So that way you can really tap into this continuing progress and how to continue learning in attune to ethics in psychology. Another class that I teach is multicultural classes and the cultural and social classes, so the cultural series as well, trying to bring a lot of awareness and the importance of us as clinical psychologists also being, of course, informed by science, but also being informed by social justice principles and the nature of diverse, that this culture also in the, so many diversities that the clients are going to be facing in training you in that area as well. I came here to the program also to really tack into two main concentration tracks, which is the child family track, which I have a lot of experience in Brazil, but also the forensic track. Since I have experience specifically with domestic violence in Brazil, I used to work in family courts, working with domestic violence, working with child custody, evaluation. So I can bring, I also bring some expertise in that area as well. But also my passion is in family therapy. And so I teach a lot of the family and basic psychotherapy courses as well. So we're going to be, I'll be teaching the first psychotherapy and personality course, the ethics series, and then the cultural series as well, and some other forensic and family, child family track courses as well. I also have a research lab. So I try to engage my students. I have collaborations. I work with research across the globe. So I have right now specifically collaborations in Mexico, Brazil, and some other Latin American countries. So and also expanding to other countries. So my research bases on parenting, divorce, and also some family concepts in understanding the cross, how they apply to multiculturals as well. So I'm doing, and I have several first, second year students also in my research lab, trying to get them active in publications, presentations. So you're gonna have a lot of experiences in the clinical research and training that this program is gonna offer you. I think that's all from my end.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. Looking forward to meeting you all in the smaller groups and talk with you some more. I'm Radhika Krishnamurthy. I live in the world of psychological assessment, particularly personality assessment. And let me start by saying that our program has a very, very strong foundational component in psychological assessment training, which is one of the unique competencies of clinical psychologists relative to other mental health providers. You know, there are lots of different types of licenses and training components of people who are working in mental health service, and clinical psychologists bring that unique component of precision and specificity in doing measurement and evaluation. And that has served our students very well historically in terms of their skills being appreciated at internships and eventually in their job placements. So I've been, if you have looked at the website, you would have seen that the layout of our program is in the first year, you have a sequence of 3 consecutive psychological assessment, intellectual and personality assessment courses. And for, nearly going on 30 years, I've been teaching that sequence. Shifted a little bit now to teaching the psychodiagnostics course, which is a multi-method assessment course in the second year. And like the other faculty, I provide supervision at our community psychological services. I supervise dissertations or doctoral research projects, so it runs the gamut of that. In my so-called spare time, I devote my time to two main areas. One is scholarship. Right now, I'm a little over-involved in editing a couple of books, handbooks, and writing another one. And I'm on journal editorial boards, again, mostly assessment journals. But the other piece is of service to the profession at the national and international levels. So I'm been involved over the years in a number of committees, task forces, boards, the American Psychological Association, the Society for Personality Assessment, things like that. Been involved, really proud to be involved at the national level of writing guidelines and clinical training competencies and things like that. There's so much intersection. You've heard the different faculty speak, and each of us have our areas, but they also connect in our field. So with personality assessment in particular, I'm interested in its applications in forensics, in child and adolescent assessment. And I have a particular interest and, in fact, an expanding interest in diversity of all kinds, including ethnic, cultural, gender, all that. And we've had some of our students do dissertations focused around some of those topics. So I hope that gives you an idea, and we'll talk some more later in the day.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you all, and happy to be here today. I'm Dr. Logalbo. I'm a board certified clinical neuropsychologist, and I always appreciate going after Dr. Krishnamurthy to piggyback on some of what she said regarding assessment. I think this is an area where we are particularly strong, and neuropsych kind of builds off of some of the intellectual and personality assessment that you learn in the program, but also is a narrower focus in some respects, but still very detail oriented, and we have many training opportunities to refine those skills, which I think is a bit unique. Just a little background about me. I was in clinical practice at a large hospital for many years before I came to Florida Tech. And through that and through my training prior to that, have experience in a lot of different clinical populations, inpatient neuro rehab, like traumatic brain injury and stroke, neuro-oncology, and working in interdisciplinary settings with other medical providers, physicians like neurologists and neurosurgeons, physiatry, psychiatry. And I still maintain a small private practice where I do mostly specialty evaluations and some forensic neuropsych evaluations. So I think, with that background, it now moving into more of a academic arena, I think it helps for me to be able to interact with you all and kind of prepare you for what you're going to be encountering in some of those areas. I guess someone's ringing my doorbell here. I'm also at Florida Tech, the director of concussion management. We work with the Department of Athletics and have about 400 student athletes in a variety of sports. Many of them are international students as well. And so if any of them happen to have a head injury, a suspected concussion, we evaluate them. Our graduate students are heavily involved in that. I'm also the director of neuropsychology at the Health First Memory Disorder Clinic, which is one of about 17 state-funded memory clinics in Florida. It's a very, very busy medical practice that's led by a geriatrician and many other medical folks there. And we've had a longstanding relationship with them to have our students perform neuropsychological evaluations with older adults there who have memory concerns. And so through both of these clinical opportunities, we also generate a whole bunch of data that we can use for a variety of research projects that we have going on. In fact, some of you that have neuropsych interest may know that right now in New York City, there's a conference going on, International Neuropsychology Society Conference, and some of our students are presenting posters there. Unfortunately, I was not able to go, but I think it's probably colder there than it is here in Florida. And as far as teaching, obviously I do teach a lot of neuropsych classes and neuropsych assessment. But some of you who may not be interested in neuropsych, I also may have some overlap, particularly with forensic and IBH, behavioral health. I teach health psychology as one of the classes that I teach regularly. So I think that there are definitely areas to overlap with neuropsychology, even if that may not be your primary area of interest. I'll be able to go into a lot more detail about some of the research and stuff that we do later today during our individual sessions. So if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me or contact me, ask me at that time. And again, welcome everyone. Glad that you're all here today.
Okay, I guess it's back to me again. So I'll tell you a little bit about my background because I'm just debating where to start here. So you know, I have a background where I worked in a pediatric research-based medical setting for 20 some years, and before coming to Florida Tech. So I have a lot of experience working with children, adolescents, family issues related to chronic illness and disabilities, particularly cancer, asthma, diabetes. So working, with a lot of different groups. And so I worked as a psychologist as part of an interdisciplinary team, kind of on the front lines, delivering services to children and families. So working with providers and rehab specialists, psychiatrists, dentists, you name it. So that was kind of a nice segue, I guess, into my interest here at Florida Tech, which is in the area of integrated behavioral health, which you'll hear termed IBH. And a lot of folks, I found out when they first come into the program, don't really know what integrated behavioral health is. And that's really teaching you the skills and the competencies to work as behavioral consultants, to work alongside primary healthcare providers in integrated healthcare settings as part of healthcare teams, many times in medical settings. And again, you work with many disciplines, again, nursing, rehab, physicians. And the IBH umbrella is a very big umbrella that includes a number of different kinds of areas. We do screening and evidence-based interventions in medical settings, so a little bit of a different model, but we focus on things like health style, lifestyle changes, pain management, stress management, smoking prevention, adherence to medical protocols, coping with chronic illness. So there's a lot of different things that kind of fall under this umbrella. It segues nicely with many of the neuropsych initiatives here, kind of has a public health flavor to it, if you will. But nonetheless, we have an IBH research team here. We have quite a number of students involved in that, where we have a lot of projects going on, primarily in the areas of things like tech addiction, exposure to parental vaping, and pediatric and parental attitudes towards the COVID vaccine. So a number of different initiatives like that. We typically have about 5 or 6 projects going at the same time. And like Dr. Legalbo, upcoming in the spring, we have 3 students presenting some of their research at our regional SEPA conference. And so we're excited about that. I teach psychopathology, so I will see most of you in the first year, and then the clinical applications in behavioral health care that usually occurs kind of later in your training. And hopefully we'll get back to supervising in the clinic soon, but do have a lot of administrative responsibilities. So, but again, if you guys feel like this is something that you can get excited about, I'm happy to talk with you more in detail when we can meet in a small group later. So I'll stop there. And I think we have a few minutes, so because we're wrapping up a little bit early. Oh yes, let me introduce Lori too. Most of you have corresponded with Lori. I don't know if she's on the call. Lori, are you here? Maybe not. But Lori is our program coordinator, and she will be working with you, from the time you get in the program through the duration of your program, in terms of, handling all your paperwork and answering all of your questions about curriculum, and kind of directing you to the right resources in the program so that you can get the answers that you need. So you'll be seeing a lot of Lori, and she'll be your best friend. So we call her the little Energizer Bunny because she's moving fast usually, and juggling a lot of balls up in the air. So we love Lori. I wish she was here today, but I think she might be dealing with other issues in the office.
Yeah, Dr. Tyke, she said she was going to try and pop in when I saw her yesterday. She's also listed as your correspondent if you have any technical issues, and she'll work with me about any kind of the Zoom link, stuff like that. But she's around. I know she was just trying to make sure she was there in case anybody had any problems.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So we have a few minutes. And so I wanted to just throw it out to the faculty to see if they wanted to add any extras that we may have overlooked this morning, or any other points folks would like to make.
I don't know if somebody already mentioned this or not, but as you were talking about some of the research that you do, Dr. Tyke, I was, and so forgive me if somebody already mentioned this, but you have options, maybe Dr. Kostopoulos, you, as a student here in the PsyD program, you have options to collaborate with other non-PsyD researchers as well. And we have a lot of students that do that. Like Dr. Adante is doing some really cool stuff in partnership with NASA, and some other big name. We have a lot of space tech here. We are the Space Coast after all. We've got NASA, Blue Origin, SpaceX, all, the big ones. And so PsyD students, every now and then you take a class with a non-core faculty member and you have a lot of opportunities to collaborate with them as well. I just wanted to throw that out there in case somebody didn't say that. And a lot of our students get publications with these other folks as well.
And to compete for funding with them. So some of them have grants, they have research assistant, GSA positions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another good funding source for the future. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm
also
on the internal funding committee for like one source of funding, and we see PsyD students' names come up in these proposals that the university reviews. So you have opportunities for that.
Yes,
Right,
which is one of the ways we got 25 entries. We have 25 different mentions in the new SEPA conference presentation for the conference next month. Dr. Tyke, did you mention the cohort size of 20 and how the whole program gets together for colloquium? I didn't remember if I heard that. I'm sorry.
I did not, but we do have a, thank you for reminding me that we have a colloquium series that we offer through the fall and the spring semesters. And this is every other week. We bring in external speakers to talk about any number of topics that really cross areas. And we have a lot of alumni that come and present at those conferences. We, I guess, try to cover, areas of neuropsych and IBH and the forensic arena. Next week, in fact, we have some military folks coming in to talk about the military scholarships. And last week we had somebody come and talk about opportunities in police work, police psychology. So we kind of expose you to a lot of outside activities and external speakers too. And we're always looking for suggestions from our students, but we try to keep you abreast of what's going on, outside of our small world of Florida Tech by inviting speakers from around the country, very well-known speakers, many of them too. So we have a lot of fun in those. That takes place every other Friday between 9 and 11. So, and you are required to attend those. So that will be kind of part of your schedule as well. Thank you for that, reminding me. Anything else, guys, we may have over?
Yeah, Vida, I also want to mention that we have a School of Psychology and School of Behavior Analysis Diversity Committee. Which is a combination, it's kind of psychology-wide committee. It's a faculty committee, but a lot of our, particularly our clinical students, participate in the committee. This is purely voluntary, but it really carries through an important mission of diversity sensitivity throughout psychology and the College of Psychology and Liberal Arts. And we engage in a variety of activities. We put out little information tidbits throughout the year just to keep diversity on people's minds. So so that's an opportunity for folks to get involved in if that's their interest.
Oh, and relatedly, we have Active Minds, which is an organization that is promoting mental health and well-being and reducing the stigma of mental illness. And we have it's a national organization. We have a very active chapter with a lot of our clinical doctoral students as well as undergraduate students involved, along with faculty and the head of the Student Counseling Center, who I think is the faculty advisor. Is that the word we use?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And Dr. Fertitta or Dr. Gustafson, would you like to mention something about Student Senate perhaps and how the faculty interact with the students at that level?
Sure. Actually, MC, would you mind talking about Student Senate? I'd like to take Rita just a second to echo what you began with and just brag on our students for a second. So to contextualize the conversation that Dr. Teich began with, in training to become a clinical psychologist, typically the typical route is that you have 4 years within your graduate program. That would be us. And then a 5th year out on internship. And usually that internship is geographically different than where you do your graduate training. And at the end of your 4th year, all the clinical students from across North America all apply for what is a limited number of internship slots. And the last couple of decades, there have been more students than there have been internship slots. And if, so there creates a bottleneck that nobody is thrilled with, but it is what it is. And our students this year were 100% on the first round. What happens is if the algorithm doesn't match somebody, then it goes to a round 2 where all the sites who don't have somebody and all the students that don't have a placement, they kind of try to scramble to find a match. And it's always somebody's, not their first choice. But I think all of our students not only got matched, but all of them, if not all of them, close to all of them, got their first choices, which meant that they went in so competitive that they beat out many, many people for those limited slots. And I couldn't be more proud of them. So that's why we were kind of coming in on a high, because we had just gotten the notification right before we started that all of our students are going to their top choices. So, yeah, that's kind of cool. Sorry, and MC, you want to talk about Student Senate?
Sure. So we have it's basically student government, but it's a little bit more advanced than just your regular high school student government. And not quite as whatever the word you want to insert there is, as like a fraternity or sorority situation in undergrad. Student Senate is pretty much I think the closest you'll get prior to entering the workforce to being on an administrative work group that advocates for yourself and communicates with upper leadership. So Student Senate is elected. There are, I can't remember how many positions per cohort, but there's the executive board, there's a Student Senate body president, student body president, there it is. VP, treasurer, secretary, of course. And there's also chairs of other things as well, like a practicum training chair, a faculty relations chair. And then there are a couple, usually 1 or 2 representatives from each cohort that sit on the Senate. And usually most are welcome to attend these Senate meetings. And it's completely student run. They also select 1 to 2 faculty representatives each year. This year that happens to be myself and Dr. G down there. I say down because you're below me on the screen, but he's actually much taller than me. So myself and Dr. Scott, we are the faculty representatives. And what this means is that Senate meets I think it's about twice a month, and they discuss upcoming events. They discuss what's going on in the student body. They discuss any needs or requests or concerns that the student body might have. They coordinate social events. They coordinate programmatic events. Like there is an annual, part of our interview day. You met them last night, right? So they coordinate that part. You'll be meeting with them this afternoon, and they work really closely with faculty to ensure that the student body is plugged in. Y'all are the constituents of this service, and we really want you to come into that professional role with a voice and with an outlet to be able to talk about these things and be active in your consumption of the service. So it's a really cool thing. You will, in your first year, there will be elections for the first year representatives a couple weeks after you start. But then after that, there will be regular elections. And they have all kinds of cool features that I'm always learning about. They have like a digital suggestion box. Right now, they're doing Pet of the Month. They have a newsletter that goes out. Really lots of cool things. And you can ask about them during the Senate panel this afternoon, and they can give you much more detail. But yes, Dr. Scott and I work to help bridge that gap. Sometimes they come to our faculty meetings, and it's a really good way to keep the PsyD community represented at the program level and at the university level.
And their social events are so great because you all get to know other students at different levels in the program who can give you advice and when you should take this or what practicum site might be a good fit for your interests. And not that faculty don't provide that, but hearing it from people who've been through it and can help you sort of mentally prepare, I think is a really good opportunity from those social events too.
Yeah, I think the most recent one that I can remember, their most recent social event was a couple months ago. They did a yard games day, and they got cornhole, they got horseshoes, they got all these different kinds of yard games, and may or may not have been a well lubricated event. I don't know, I wasn't there, but they played games all day, and they, were out at somebody's house that has a big yard, probably Fletcher's, because she's got a lot of farm animals out there, and they had so much fun. They'll do bake sales, they'll do all kinds of stuff. It's really good. Did I do it justice, Scott?
Yeah, good job. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so we have, I believe, our first interview group starting at 10:15. Everybody can look at your schedule. So we'd like to give you guys a few minutes just to go grab a cup of coffee, run to the restroom, do whatever you need to do, and then we'll jump on and see you again at I think, yeah, 10:15. Remember, follow the schedule in terms of your writing sample task, and we should be good to go. So we'll take questions, we'll have some time for questions, towards the end, and or maybe even in your small group. So if you can hold those till the end of the day, and when we wrap up, and we'll be able to, after you have some time to digest some of the information that occurs all day, you might have more questions. So we'll try to do our best to answer those. So we'll see. Oh, yes, please.
Yes, I just have one other request. I noticed that most folks have their full name, but for those of you that may not, could you please put your first and last name? That'll just help us to be able to identify you more easily. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
And if you aren't able to change it yourself, actually, when you get into your first small group, we can, if you guys don't realize this, faculty, as the host of that small group, you can click on people and rename them. So we can do that for you if you're not able to do it now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we will see you all in about 10 minutes or so in your groups when we start at 10:15.